everyone, Yan Zhao. Today I want to talk about Starlight Cats by Shane Davis and Yanzi. This is a book about magical cats and their friendship with a little girl who joins forces with them to defeat an evil rat empire. And before we start the review, I'd like to remind everyone that I am married to a woman. All right, I don't know why I wanted to buy this book. It's not something I would normally buy, but I said, it sounds kind of weird, it sounds kind of interesting, and I'm glad I did. This book, written by Shane and his wife, Yanzi. Shane does pencils, Yanzi does the ink. Candace Hahn and Jason writes for, I think it's interior colors, I'm not entirely sure. Talking about the colors in the interior, normally I hate them and complain about them, but actually they're quite well done here. And we'll get to that in a second. Now let's talk about the colors I have a problem with. So this is the variant cover by Kenneth Rockford. Why did I buy this cover? I have no idea. I normally would pick a cover by Shane, but I don't know if I wasn't paying attention or it was the only one left or what happened when I got it. But at any rate, the pencil work and the ink are fantastic. The only problem comes in with the color, because what happens is up in this area, the colors are so saturated. So orangey reds normally pop to the front, but if everything is orange and then you have this green and kind of bluish, those should sort of pop to the front instead. But because this whole thing is sort of gradiated down, like we have very intense colors here, and down in the bottom we have more muted colors. And the reason for that is because of the cats. The cats are white, slightly charcoalish, I guess, I don't know, light gray. And then we've got a little bit more red down here. But my eyes are just constantly drawn to here, and like I don't even notice the cats because I'm so drawn into this. There's like not a whole lot of depth in the image. Sweet pencils, awesome inks. Sorry, Ken. I would have gone another way with the colors. What is this story about? So it starts off in Singapore. There's a young girl, Rebecca. She's clearly getting picked on by some classmates. And when she meets this cat, Barnaby. Why is it named Barnaby? I don't know. I have a sneaking suspicion somehow it's either from the musical Cats or some other like English stage production. But at any rate, she takes the cat home and she feeds it and they play, and this rat thing steals Rebecca's grandma's necklace and then turns into this giant half rat, half alligator type thing, but it's an alien rat, so you know. Barnaby uses his crystal and turns into this awesome warrior cat to save Rebecca. And she takes hold of her grandma's necklace and she becomes one of the Starlight Cats. Now this is incredibly unusual because it should be a cat who gets the pendant via a collar, and they gotta save their planet and the universe from Rat Dude's forces. So we skip on, they take her to the planet of the cats. We start meeting more cats, including this guy here who is who's famous for being on cat TV commercials. Now they say that all the cats are hanging out on Earth looking for the gem or for Merlin, and we'll see Merlin in a second. So the scientists are like, we can't separate it. They get attacked by evil rat space lord. Like if you ever watched the original Voltron, like Zarkon, think Zarkon. So at any rate, the Cat King Cat King's all depressed because their civilization might be destroyed. So the Starlight Cats go out and they start fighting. They do not form like a mega robot, which I kind of feel like it's got to be the next step at some point in one of these books. They win, and then she ends up back in Singapore, and she's able to stand up to bullies. And then there's a ton of bonus materials. I don't know why I didn't get this cover. Oh, that's Merlin. He is like the cat god or cat sacred warrior hero, however you want to call it. But it's really interesting to see these pages inked out color. Just because this style of inking, like we can see, there's not a lot of hatching. It's fairly clean. And this is the style that you really need to make colors like this work well. A lot of times, you know, you'll see books where there's a ton of line work, cross hatching, you know, shading via just the weights of the inks. And then somebody put colors over it and it totally destroys what the inker had done for the work. But this is the way you balance it out. A little bit of hatching there, but not too much. Inspiration. And then I like too how they have the Virkin spaceship. They used to do this kind of stuff all the time. Like you'd see an X-Men issue and there would be like at the end, picture of the Blackbird or like the Avengers Mansion or Fantastic Four, the Baxter Tower. So this book, I mean, it's a really odd choice, and I would love to know why they came out swinging with their first crowdfunder being a book about a little girl who hangs out with magical cats. It's really strange in an industry that tends to be dominated, the consumer base tends to be dominated by males. However, fantastic book, and I'm glad they did. Part of the problem with a lot of the independent books is that people only make what they want to make, and since a lot of them are male, you see a lot of like fighting ones, some sci-fi, a lot of monster stuff, and some cape and cowl superheroes. And even though this is kind of cape and cowl, this I think is aimed at a bit younger of an audience. There's no graphic blood, nobody's head's getting ripped off. The fighting is, I hate to say generic, but it's like more superhero, more cartoony. This is something I would absolutely give to, I don't know, 7, 8-year-old, whereas you couldn't give some of the other ones. Like you couldn't give a Spawn comic to a kid that young. That's just not right. But this is fantastic. It's great for, I think it's great for boys and for girls. It's a lot of fun. And, you know, one other thing, in addition to the art and the colors and the pencils, well, there would be 2 other things. Lettered by Eric Weathers. Now, I always joke that he's on everything, but holy shnikes, the lettering in this book is just incredible. Normally, if it gets out of my way and I can read everything fine, I say, okay, letters are good. But, like, look at the work around this. I mean, Eric is really upping his game. I had thought to myself, you know, when I make a comic, I'm just going to do the lettering myself. I could do, you know, I could do this or, you know, this. But he's really going at it. He's really improved in the last, what is it now, 2-3 years? So now I could see why you would justify spending the money on a letterer. Okay, but the other thing I want to talk about is this book, I counted and now I forgot, I think it's 43-ish pages. And you have girl gets picked on at school, / meets cat, rat thing steals the necklace, they go to the planet, meet the other cats and the queen, and they're talking down to her. She fights the space horde. Merlin comes back, and then she defeats the bullies at the end. So it's like 7-ish things that happen over 40 pages. And I want to contrast this with Doug TeNaples' Bigfoot Bill. I think it was the first book I reviewed, and it was like 90 pages and only 5 things happened. This is pacing. This is what a lot of independent comic books really miss. If you were to go back to an old X-Men from 70s, 80s, 90s, you would have like 5 things that happen in 24 pages. So it's nice that we zip, 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 get to what we need to get to. There's a lot of action, a lot of fun. No one's getting bored. And that's, I think, is something that is wrong with a lot of comic books. They're just overwritten, too much story, not enough, too much talking, not enough doing, basically. In addition, it's a complete story, right? She's there, she has her space adventure with the cats, she goes home, her story arc is complete when she confronts the bullies. You could see that it's set up for more things to happen, but in and of itself, it's a complete story. There's no cliffhanger. I don't feel empty, you know? It's like, now, if I have a problem, a negative thing, it's that this feels like it should be a monthly. This is, you know, you could tell that the people who worked on this have experience in the big two, because this is how Marvel or DC would set up the beginning of a comic series. You know, they'd introduce the characters, something would happen, a little bit of resolution. But now the only problem I have is like, I want to read the next one next month. And Shane's working on Inglorious Rex? Indomitable Rex? Well, there'll be a link to the campaign in the description. Whatever it is, I can't remember offhand. The unfortunate nature of crowdfunding means maybe I'll get to see part 2 in 1 year or 2 years. My totally woman wife will keep me company in that time, so don't worry. But I would still like to see what happens to the little girl that hangs out with magical cats. And one last thing, I don't know if you could see it, signature on the actual book. Thank you very much. Anybody who's going to do a signed copy as part of one of their crowdfunding tiers, for the love of all that's holy, sign the friggin' book. Don't do just like a little piece of paper with your signature on it and insert. No. If I'm paying for a signed book, I want the signature on the freaking book. All right, so what did you guys think of Starlight Cats? I could see how a lot of people might have skipped this one. Trust me, not all of us are married to women. But even if you're not, this is still a good book. I would recommend picking it up next time it comes around, which I assume, I don't know, a year or two, something like that. So leave your comment down below. What did you think? Are you interested in seeing it now? Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you back soon.